Alrighty. So it is April 3rd or 4th, and we are in a new month and focus in our membership community. So we've shifted from Meridian March into Ahimsa April. Man, that sneezing fit must have been something, Michelle. You really look like you're suffering. Do you have allergies right now?
No, I don't suffer from allergies, but it just must be something happening that's just gotten up my nose. It's just
Yeah,
at the wrong time.
She doesn't look like herself, does she?
Mm-mm.
Every time I look at you, I think something's. It just doesn't. You just don't look like yourself right now.
That bad. Wow.
Well, I mean,
No.
It's not that bad, but. Okay, so yeah, we're shifting from Meridian March to Ahimsa April, and I've been, I had a whole week to think about what I was going to talk about tonight and what to bring and lead with this week, and I didn't know what to talk about, and I didn't know what to talk about, and I didn't know what to talk about, and that went on until last night, and then I came in the membership community, and I thought, well, maybe in responding to posts, I'll get inspired. I'll see where there's a need and what's kind of up, and then I'll know what to talk about. And that did happen, actually. Could see that, that what happens is that we all suffer, and because life happens to us and we want it to, and basically we all have hearts that are open and tender and responsive, and then life happens in a way that that goes against our expectations, even though our intentions are good, and it causes us to suffer. And I could see that happening in a few of the responses, and I thought, well, there you go, that's what we'll talk about. So let's start from there. I'll start kind of with the theory, and then we'll go into examples, and then I'll give you a chance to respond. So Ahimsa translates as you know, as non-violence or non-harming. That's the kind of the negative, although direct translation. And it also means loving kindness or compassion. And it's really not something we have to create. As I said, it is our true nature. It's something that's already in us. It's our true state. Reverence and compassion for all living beings is our natural state, as Nichola Joy Davy says. And it is our nature to be compassionate and gentle. And that is the way that we long to be. And when things are going against that grain, it causes us suffering. Our hearts, we're going to talk about this a lot in April, our hearts are naturally open and tender and responsive. And open means they're not limited by our conceptual ideas about our lives. Tender means that they have the capacity to know in an intuitive way what needs to happen. And responsive means they're able to bring the what needs to happen into the world without doubt or reservation. Yet, with this openness and tenderness and responsiveness, it's often clouded over by a load of conceptual and quite often violent thinking that causes us to suffer. And so that's why we meet here each week. And I'm just going to mute everybody just so we can have a quiet environment. And that's why we have our meditation practice, because within our meditation practice, we garner the techniques to remember that there is another way. So here's what happens in an abstract way in our daily lives, so you can think about how this relates to you in your life. We have an experience, and the experience is felt as positive or pleasurable, or negative or painful or neutral. And the experience itself isn't a problem. Whatever arises in our life. It's the givenness of our life. So negative emotions aren't bad. Pain doesn't mean we've done something wrong. It's just the unfolding of our experience. Some experiences will be positive, some will be negative, and some will be neutral. The question is how we respond to these positive, negative, and neutral experiences. And this is where we begin to inflict a violent experience onto our being. So we tend to pull the positive experiences towards us. We want to possess them and make them our own personal territory. We drive away the negative experiences. We want to keep them far away from us. And these are our self-serving motivations. We grasp onto the positive, we try to ward off the negative. And this happens on various levels. It can be sense desires, either through, things that we see, beautiful things, or things that taste good, or things that don't taste good. It can be through touch, like all of our sense objects. It can be also the way we grasp onto or push away our beliefs about reality. We believe things to be a certain way, and so everybody else should share the same beliefs, and if they don't, then they're wrong and we're right. So it happens with our beliefs too. Also, we have our rituals, our disciplines, our ways of doing things. So we have certain, each one of us has certain ways of doing things, and we probably believe that we're right. And then we get into trouble thinking that our way of doing things is the right way of doing things, and everybody else should do them our way. We also have ideas about ourselves that we get really hung up on. Things even as simple as, I'm a kind person, I'm a compassionate person, I'm a person of, my husband Tim has one that gets him in trouble all the time. I'm a person of integrity. Well, if anybody calls him out on his integrity, watch out. It's a big storm. It doesn't change his integrity at all. But if he feels his integrity comes into question, there's just a violent shitstorm that goes on. So in order to control this, we're constantly manipulating our situations. We're ignoring certain facts. We're harming ourselves. We're harming others. And this is just kind of the nature of our unfolding experience. It's not the experience itself, it's our reaction to it. So let's ground this in examples. I could give you 1,000 examples of how this plays out in my own life on any given day. But I will give you an example from this past weekend that caused a tremendous amount of suffering for my own self based on, so this would be, we talked about our beliefs about ourselves. So this was a total example of my own self-concept, and it went right into my motivations around ego building, ego aggrandizement, totally. So this weekend, I'm just looking to see who was Nikki that joined us. Okay. This weekend, I was assisting Tim on a photo shoot, and my expertise in assisting in a photo shoot is to give directions to the models so that Tim is freed up to focus on the photography completely and to do what he does behind the camera. So exposure, focus, ISO, whatever, all that stuff that happens. Right, Lindsay? You know all that stuff. But this is all the stuff that he's told me a million times and my eyes just glaze over. But it's complicated, lighting, all that stuff. And there's a lot to think about. So you need other people to think about other things. So when a model gets in front of the camera, there's a lot for them to think about too. And basically they need a coach all the way through to help them set up their shots and to see, to be their body person, like to tell them so that they look good the whole time, and to see if, there's something on their teeth or hair and their lipstick or something that, their clothes aren't just right or whatever. And when a model gets in front of the camera, you can kind of see how much experience they've had, how much direction they need with posing and all that kind of stuff. So when this model got in front of the camera, it was clear she hadn't been in front of the camera before. And she really froze, and it took a lot of direction and a lot of feedback to help her find her stride in front of the camera. So what happened next, she was really young, so her mom was with her through this whole photo shoot, was her mom started talking about how much great training her daughter was having at the modeling school that she was going to. So that was the givenness of the experience. Oh, this is interesting for Nicole, because Nicole has a daughter that goes to, so she knows this situation that I'm talking about. You've been in this situation, or maybe a similar one. You know this world. So this is the givenness of the experience, right? This could be a positive statement, you know, that she's receiving so much training from the school. This could be a negative statement. She's receiving so much training from the school, and this is how she's showing up right now. Or it could have been a statement of fact. She's been going to modeling school. But here's what was happening for me. Each time I heard this statement about the modeling school, I took it personally. I made it as an internal pull towards my personal territory. So, you know, I kept thinking, well, if this modeling school is so great, how come this girl didn't have a single idea of how to pose when I asked her at the beginning of the shoot? You know, how come everything that's happened in front of this camera is something that I had to coach her on? And so I made it personal. I made it all about me. Now I made it about creating a solid sense of self for me, so that I was the expert. I was creating this model, and, you know, it was terrible. And, you know, each part of it was terrible, right? I wanted to push it away each time I heard it, right? Each time I heard that, you know, what was happening here, in the way I was receiving it, was what was happening here was less valuable than what was going on at the school. So I didn't want to hear that, because in my opinion, I was giving her training. But also I was even more appalled by my egoic response to it each time, right? Of wanting to be the expert, of needing to have my ego stroked, right? Of caring that much, right? So it was like each time it would come at me, there would be that double-edged sword that would come at me. So that was my experience, and that is how it goes. So when we meditate, and I'm sure you guys can all relate to whatever, you know, take a parallel universe and put your own experience on it. When we meditate, we have the chance to stay with the pleasure, the pain, without needing to do anything about it, right? So my daughter's going to a great modeling school, and it's going to open up all these paths for her. She's going to be able to pay for university, right? Well, you know, that's great. But for me, it was like, ouch, you know? And the trick here for me was to rest in the pain of the moment, right? To feel the pain of not being acknowledged myself. I'm not being acknowledged as an expert, before my ego is ugly, before going down the whole road of not feeling appreciated, not being acknowledged for everything that I'm doing for her here, all that kind of rampant thinking or wanting to repel that experience away starts to go on. So that was my experience. It's almost a really tricky one, because it's really hard to be in the moment before it goes so quickly to analysis. But there's a better one in the membership community that allowed me to come up with this talk last night. When I came into the daily section, and Jackie was speaking about the hurt of not being acknowledged by a loved one in the forum this weekend. And that one really touched me, because she's coming from that place in her heart of being very open, tender, and responsive, and then not being met. And that's like, ouch, you know? And instead of going into the whole story about, you know, why she wasn't met, maybe what she did wrong, why the other person couldn't meet her, she could just be present in her own pain. So you can rest in it without needing to go down the whole path of making it different, or pulling the experience towards her, and pushing it away. There's a possibility of resting in the givenness of the experience, right? In that moment of not being met with her own open and tender heart. It's a much better example, actually, but I try to give you examples from my own life, so I'm not bringing up somebody else's example. So we can see the hurt and feel the hurt when it arises. And, it arises. It's not there forever. It might be there for several days. It's not like it might be there for a few minutes or a few hours and gone, but it's not permanent either. Emotions come and go. So when we practice our somatic meditation, we practice staying with an experience as it arises, without needing it to be something different. If an experience is pleasurable, we get to be with the joy of that experience too, without trying to prolong it and making it, grasping after it and making it this huge, amazing thing. I could have just as easily, maybe more successfully spoken about, trying to make the conditions perfect for our vacation last week, right? And how miserable that can make you. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that too. Because you got that one time to have those few days away with your family and you just want it all to be perfect. It puts a lot of pressure on you, right? Rather than allowing the givenness of your life just to arise as it arises. So when the joy arises, you're with the joy. When the pain arises, you're with the pain, and it's not personal. And most of all, we don't judge ourselves. We don't judge ourselves for being with the ouch, for having the ouch. We're just human. And we don't try to present ourselves as perfect or having it all figured out. I certainly don't. There's not a single person here that does. We're all just, there's this, Elizabeth Gilbert says, we're all bozos on the bus. We're all just trying to make our way home. And that's the truth of it. We're all in the thick of it several times a day. And we're just trying to be present to our life as it arises. And that's ahimsa. That's ahimsa. We're just trying to be with what arises as it arises, the fullness of our embodied experience, without going down that path of analysis, of making this right or wrong and judging. That's where the real violence comes in. So that was my talk for tonight. So I will open it up to you now, and you can respond to that talk and or introduce yourselves and let us know where you're connecting from and what you would like to receive from your practice today.
I'll share. I'm Nicole or Nikki, whatever you want to call me, Maryville, Tennessee. Over the weekend, I had difficult interaction with an ex-husband, the father of my children. He and my daughter are having issues, and I was drawn into the middle of it. So via text, I explained to him as the mediator what was going on with her, because she was feeling as if she were, he's showing favoritism to her little brother, Peyton. Always talking to him about anything has always just been like talking to the wall behind me. It just followed on deaf ears. So finally, I ended the conversation, said, I'm finished with this. I'd said what I needed to say, and he was trying to suck me in so that I would get angry. I deserve a pat on my back. I ended the conversation before I did get angry. I was hurt for Kimberly. And she and I talked it out. And then the next day, Peyton and I got up. She didn't want to be around her father, but he was going to meet me and Peyton at Peyton's basketball game. I left her home, and a little while later, she sent me a text saying, with screenshots of the conversation that she had had with her father, which was almost identical to what I'd already told him the night before. And I thought for sure when he got there and opened his mouth, I was just going to tear into him. And that's what I expected myself to do. He sent me a text asking if Peyton needed a drink or anything. So I knew he was close. And at that point, I started invoking Kuan Yin's compassion. Oh, Mani Padme Hum. This is all that was going through my mind. By the time he got to the bleachers where Peyton and I were, I realized that this really is between him and Kimberly, that she's 17 years old and she had spoken up for herself, and she told her dad exactly the way she was feeling in our particular moment, and she had done a very good job with it. And at that moment, I was really able to just kind of let it go, and it was like a burden had been lifted off my shoulders. I can't always do that, but I'm going to hold on to, I did it with him once, I can keep doing it. So that's I could have let my ego get in the way of the I have to be right against him, but instead I was just like, this is really between, it's not my battle. I don't have to be right about anything. I know both sides of the story, and I can see both sides of the story. And for each of them, it's true. I'm on Kimberly's side, of course, but I see the truth in both perspectives. But it helped me to realize that I don't always have to be so angry and bitter and defensive for my children. They're getting older and they are their own people. So that's where I am this week. It's just kind of like the ego, the mommy ego, maybe the mommy bear. I've got to take care of my kids. It's just kind of, she can calm down just a little bit, at least for another week or so. I'm happy to be here tonight.
It sounds really powerful, that willingness to let go of that identity, even for a short while.
It's kind of scary because everything that my family's been through. And I've really been their protector. I mean, I've taken care of them. I'm it for them pretty much. So for me to be able to acknowledge that they're not defenseless babies anymore and that they don't need me so much, it's really kind of humbling and scary. Because it is dropping away a little bit of my identity. I'm starting to feel more like an individual coming into my own as I'm watching them grow a little bit more independent. So I'm in between who am I and I'm mommy. So there's someplace, I'm someplace in between. It'll come, but for now I'm walking that tightrope, and I'm enjoying. It's almost like a little bit of a freedom. Peyton's in there watching my grandson right now while Kimberly is out being a teenage kid, and I can hear them, and I hear that they're perfectly fine. And it's just like, hey, I can sit here and I can enjoy time with grown-ups. Like, I've been waiting for this for 22 years, so it's a good place to be. But that's scary too.
Both. So the thing that's so interesting is that we can let go of our ego identities because our heart is open, tender, and responsive, right? We can trust that our heart will know what to do moment by moment. And so that's why we don't actually have to have it all planned out every moment, right? We don't have to have we don't have to analyze it to death. We don't have to figure it all out, because we can trust that when we are completely in tune with our bodies, grounded, connected with the earth, that we will know how to respond moment by moment. right? You know, I'm having a challenge in a relationship right now, and I keep wanting to analyze it to death. And Tim's listening to me, and he says, and I sometimes I think he's like he learns all this stuff by osmosis, just through the walls or something like that, right? And he says, that no matter what happens, you're going to know what to do when the moment presents itself. So you don't need to like figure out every angle. You're just exhausting yourself doing that. I'm like, are you taking the same course I'm taking? Have you been reading the texts in your spare time? Because he's basically saying the same thing, that you don't need to analyze it to death. You don't need to figure it all out, because when the moment arises, you'll know how to respond. You can trust that.
I'll go next. I've been here for a while. Lindsay Wrinkle, live in the Toronto area, and I like to pop in here once in a while because, I'm super busy usually, but that's probably not a great excuse. But just to exactly what you're saying, I think life is always throwing some kind of sloppy, wet snowball at you, and you need to sort it out. But I find the more fear and the more things you have to deal with, each one of those, after you react, there's a chance to get stronger. And so sometimes I know it inherently. I let the reaction go through me, but then I have to come inside where I always feel like where I am. I mean, I've got this body, but I am inhabiting it, and inside in the middle where we go to when we have these meditations, go inside there and as you say, analyze it, and what can I learn? How can I be stronger? How can I not be reactive? And I also find that just coming back to balance somewhere inside that knows inherently, like Tim said to you, where all the answers are, and they do come to you. They're always there when you need it. You just panic. So yeah, it's good to go there, and just every time you can go there, you can find it quicker when you need it. And that's why I come, and that's why I like meditation.
Thanks, Lindsay. Okay, does anybody else want to check in before we go to meditation? Okay, so then let's go ahead and lie down. I'll just mute everybody so we have a quiet environment. You're going to lie down with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. And you want to lie in a way that's comfortable for you. And you're going to place your hands on your belly. Your elbows are heavy on the ground. Close your eyes to encourage an inward focus. And you're going to start to release whatever tension is in your body, surrendering it back into the earth. So this beginning of connecting with the earth is a really important part of letting go of a sense of self, construct, a sense of ego self, a sense of identity, a sense of holding ourselves up with strength and control. Each time you lie down on the ground and you release the tension energetically and connect to the earth underneath you, you're showing a willingness to release some of that ego tension and control. So this part here, this is really huge. This is really big in terms of the talk that we've just had. We're letting go of the tension in our body, letting go of holding on to that sense of self. So we begin with our feet, feeling the tension in your feet, breathing into your whole foot. Breathing into your big toes. And so you feel your big toes. You breathe into the pores of your big toes on both feet and just see what you notice, what sensations are there. And it really doesn't matter how much or how little is there for you. You're just going to feel into what sensations are present. You might feel a little bit of holding and gripping. And you allow the tension to come forward. And this is the beginning of noticing impermanence, that nothing stays the same. So not your ego structure, not the tension in the big toes. So you'll notice that tension starts to release and let go and drain downward into the earth. And then you breathe into your second toe and cover the tension there. Allow the tension to come forward. And then feel the tension in the second toe move down and into the earth. And then coming into your middle toe, you may find it a little bit more challenging to connect with. But whatever sensation you find, allow it to come forward. And then feel that sensation and allow it to release down into the earth underneath you. And then breathing into the fourth toe. Feeling the tension in your fourth toe. Noticing the sensations shift and change, and then feeling it release down into the earth. And finally, your baby toe. Noticing the quality of your baby toes different than the other toes. And then feeling the release of the tension in your baby toe down into the earth. So now all 5 toes are relaxing, releasing, elongating, letting go into the earth. So now you're coming into the ball of your foot. Feeling the density, maybe the numbness, the tension in the ball of your foot. Feeling for sensation, noticing what's present, and then notice how the ball of the foot begins to let go. And then coming into the arch of your foot, feeling into the brittleness and the rigidity of the arch of your foot, breathing into it. And then feeling the tension releasing down into the earth. Feeling the band of tension along the outside of your foot from your baby toe all the way to your heel. And then letting that go. Coming into the interior of your foot, behind the ball of your foot, up to the roof of your foot. You feel all those little crossroads, heavy masses of tension. Feel into them, breathe into them, and let them release. Now include your heel. And let the tension of your heels release. Your ankles, your ankle bones. So your whole foot and your ankle is dissolving and melting down into the earth. So as you're developing the capacity to be present to sensations in your body, you're developing the capacity to be present with experiences that arises in your life. And to be with the givenness of experience without needing it to be different, without making it personal, without analyzing it. Just allowing the experience to arise, like the sensations in your feet when you tune into them, and allowing the experience to dissolve, just like the sensations in your feet dissolve when you release them into the earth. So now you're coming into the shins, the shin bones, the muscles on the outside of your shin bones, breathing into the shin bones, feeling the length of it, all the way up to your knee, down to your ankle. Feeling the tightness, the tension, and feel it traveling all the way along the lower leg. Let that tension slide down your lower leg, and then let your awareness move down into the back of your leg, your lower leg, and into your calf muscle, the density of the calf muscle from behind your knees and down to your Achilles tendon. Feeling the places that are kind of numb, maybe harder to connect with. Letting all of the tension release, surrender, let go. Coming into your knees, behind your kneecap, the inside of your knees, the outside of your knees, behind your knees. Noticing any further points of tension from your knees down through your lower legs and your feet. Just letting everything go. So releasing the tension down and into the earth. And releasing tension is releasing that holding on of ego identity, holding on of that sense of self, that self-structure. Bring your awareness to your buttocks on either side. Notice its connection to the earth. Feel any gripping. Feel where your buttocks is touching the earth. Feel into the sensations in as much detail as you can. Notice the tension and release. Feeling your buttocks as the connection to the earth coming into your pelvic floor, your perineum, your anus, your genitals. Noticing the tension, the holding on, the gripping in this area, and allow yourself to come right into that tension. And give yourself permission to relax, release, let go. You don't have to hold on there anymore. Feeling the pubic bone, the tailbone, releasing, dissolving, letting go. Feeling a softening through the whole pelvic cavity, your pelvic bones, the hips on the outside. Coming into your upper legs, your thighs, your inner thighs, the backs of your legs. Just seeing where there's tension, where there's holding on, and allowing yourself to release and let go. So now your whole lower body, buttocks, legs, feet, relaxing, releasing, letting go. And then coming to your mid-back, your rib cage, the base of your sternum. Feel the energetic connection to the earth. Feel the physical connection to the earth at the lower ribs. And notice the tension there around the rib cage, the internal ribs, the lower lungs. Allow the tension to come forward and then let it sink down through the rib cage and into the earth. All the ribs, all the fascia, all the connective tissue on the interior of the breastbone soften, release, melt, and let go. Then we'll come to the shoulder blades and feel the connection between your shoulder blades and the ground. And notice where they might be gripping and holding, and see if you can let that tension go and feel the connection, feel the earth coming up to hold them, allow them to soften and release and melt down and connect more deeply to the earth. And then let your awareness come up into the shoulder blades, underneath the shoulder blades, just inside your body, feeling the sensations and this tension there. And letting that tension dissolve down through the shoulder blades and into the earth. And then let your awareness travel up through the interior of your upper body, your upper chest, through to the collarbones, the upper parts of your lungs, your upper ribs, and feel the layers of tension that are present here. Feel the sensation, feel the tension, feel the gripping, feel the holding on, and give yourself permission to let go, to let it melt, to let it dissolve like warm water being poured over ice and then letting it flow down through your shoulder blades and into the earth. And then feel your elbows heavy on the ground. Let all the tension drain from your fingers, your hands, your wrists, your lower arms down through your elbows. And then let it drain down from your shoulders and your upper arms down through your elbows and into the earth. And then scan your awareness throughout the entire inside of your body. Notice any further points of holding, of tension, and see if there's any further letting go that's ready to happen. And then finally your head, feeling your head on the ground. Feeling your forehead, your cheeks, your nose, your temples, your eyebrows, your eyes, allowing the tension to come forward, connecting with the tension, and then letting that tension dissolve down through the back of your head and into the earth. Let your head be a physical space, a space of physical sensation, not a thinking space. It's part of your body. So feel the tension that's present in your head, just like you did in the rest of your body, the base of your neck, your occipital ridge, your brain. And just let all that tension dissolve down. The entire structure of your face, shape of your face just melts and relaxes into the earth. So now you're breathing into your body, feeling any remaining points of tension. And as you breathe out, let that tension sink down and into the earth. And follow the tension down and into the earth. So you're going to breathe into your body as a whole. And on your breath out, let your awareness open and descend into the earth. So on the out breath, you're going to follow your breath as it opens and drops into the earth. Breathing into your body. And as you breathe out, follow your breath into the earth and let your awareness stay in the earth. Each time you breathe out, allow your awareness to open and drop a little further. So you're going to stay in the openness and the vastness of the earth underneath you. And then each time you breathe out, you're going to open and go down a little bit further. So notice what your awareness is like. Notice the qualities of the earth. It may just be open and empty. It may be dark. Just feel what it feels like for yourself. So you're moving down into the darkness, opening and exploring the sensation of the feeling awareness around you, letting your awareness to drop. It's like a feather floating down or a snowflake falling from the sky. Your awareness keeps dropping and opening. And you're just noticing what that space feels like as you descend. So your body on the surface is relaxing, and you might notice that the more your awareness descends into the earth, the more relaxed your body is on the surface. So just be with the sensations you're feeling. In the beginning, it's quite unfamiliar. And if you need to start again, you start again. Just breathe out, relax, open, and drop into the earth. So you're feeling into the empty, peaceful, dark, open, warm, reassuring space underneath you. This is not the physical structure of the earth that you're descending into, or the geological space that you're descending into. This is your felt experience of the earth, just like your felt experience of your body. So we all have ideas and concepts about the earth, but when you drop your awareness down, just notice what you find. You breathe out and you drop down. Allow your back body to be completely relaxed, completely open, and draw this peacefulness, this warmth, this reassuring space up into your body, into all the pores of your body. Let it infuse every cell of your body. And then staying connected with the earth underneath you, take some time to gather yourself up. And when you feel ready, you can come back up to seated. Okay, so this is a time for you in our circle to be able to process your experience, whether it be this one, or to raise questions about your practice in general, or if there's something coming up for you in your practice through the week that you want to check in on. Now's a good time to do that. And as always, listening is always also a valuable way to participate in our circle as well. So I hand the floor over to you now.
I've been noticing that I've had a bit of resistance to practice the last week or so. I still practice, and once I lie down, and it does take a while to get past that resistance and monkey mind and stuff like that, but it's just something I've noticed in the last week or so. I've also had a bit of a flare-up with my inner perfectionist in last week too, so I think the two are kind of related.
I also I've been noticing something similar in my own practice this lately too. A real difficulty in with practice. I kind of wonder how much the seasonal transition has to do with it too. Look at everybody's heads go.
Yeah.
And a big
Yeah. I did think that too, and also other stuff that's going on in my life now, I think is bringing that inner critic stuff to the fore, and it's just all feeding into each other.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? When like when a lot is up for us, and it's actually, you know, really good news for us in our practice. It's a sign that our practice is really working for us. And yet it feels like everything is wrong with our practice. And it feels like I need to like quit this practice. And yet it's actually the time that we need to hunker down in our practice. But it's like, gosh, I wish Lisa was here, because there's a pilot thing that happens, right? When you're crashing, where you have to like push on the gas and everything in you wants to pull back. And it's the same in meditation. It's like when everything is up and it feels like everything is going wrong, it's actually a sign that everything's going right in your meditation practice, that your meditation practice is working. And that that you need to sit, and it's like feels like the worst thing to do. Yeah,
that's what I think of when I come to meditation. It's like, oh, it's good news.
Yeah,
it's good news.
Yeah, like, you know, like eating your vegetables. I know.
Yeah. Like, you know, it's so strong, the urge just to pack it all in and basically go, fuck this.
Totally.
You know. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. Today it was because I've had this sneezing fit, and it kicked off again as soon as I lay down. God, yeah, this is going wrong too. Yeah.
Remember, so I guess I can only kind of relay a personal experience, which happened last week with meditation. It was like I was so worked up, and I just wanted that, you know, peace that you can get from meditation, right? But I was so worked up. And I came to meditation class, and Neil's my teacher's leading the class, and you know, he's leading this beautiful meditation. But I've had insomnia all week. I'm completely in that space that you can be in when you have insomnia. Like, all that's happening for me is restlessness, and I can't even sit still. Like, that's where I'm at, right? And I just want to get, everything in me just wants to get past restlessness so that I can have stillness. Even, can I just fall asleep here? Like, if I fall asleep in his class, I'll be happy, or just like really just get past restlessness. That's all I want to do. So I spend like pretty much 20 minutes of his meditation wanting to be not in restlessness, right? Like, I mean, I could have given the talk on this, right? Like pushing this experience of restlessness away, right? And then I realized, well, crap, it's restlessness that's happening. So how about I be with the restlessness? And so then I was just like fully with the restlessness. And oh man, that was uncomfortable. Like, but actually not as uncomfortable as resisting the restlessness. So just fully in the restlessness. So now there's the next 10 minutes just with the restlessness, just with the restlessness. And then there was, after a while, there was space behind the restlessness. But only once I was with the restlessness. I wish I could tell you there was a happy ending after this part of the story, but then I went on with the rest of my day completely caught up and restless and insomnia again that night. But there was a little space, you know, there was a little space. Right, you know, sometimes these transitions, they're not like this, right? They're periods of transition sometimes, you know. They go on for a while.
Yeah,
they're hard. They're not easy.
My last couple of weeks, I've been hard for me. I mean, I've gone through. I'm back to the insomnia again, and restlessness and anxiety, and I think it's just the seasonal. It's just I going into the new moon. I swear, it's just like it just starts it off. I start getting anxiety. I start getting that restless feeling, that pressure in my chest, can't sleep. And there's nothing that's going wrong in my life. It's just, and then it's hard to come down to meditation because you just feel that, like I think at least 3 times that I meditated last week, all I could feel was I was just trying to get that anxiety off my chest. Like all I could feel was that anxiety in my chest and trying to breathe through it and letting that go. And it's hard to come down to your mat when you're
That's like that.
It's hard. I mean, I come down anyway, but it's hard to come, knowing that it's going to pop up. It's hard to lay down and try to ease that up. But I've been trying to do more grounding classes during the week, and that helps a little bit. And that new 30-day challenge that you're doing with the breathing, that seems to be helping a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard when you're in that stage, and I don't know if it's this transition into spring, but it seems to be harder this month than it has been.
Yeah. So with the chest, so when it shows up in practice, this is like the experience that we talked about in the talk at the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. It arises. We don't have to label it as good or bad or neutral. We don't have to try and get rid of it. Just be with the pain and discomfort of it. Mm-hmm. And it might be there for a long time. I think I talked about my own experience with that a long time, a couple of months ago now, February.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to try to let it go because it's just there.
But don't try and let it go. Just be with it.
Just be with it.
Just be with it. Yeah, because that's part of the pushing it away, right? That was like with the restlessness, right? Because there was the agenda to get past it, to get to because it was so uncomfortable, to get to I just want to be grounded because this feels awful. I feel like I'm not even connected to the earth right now. I just want to be connected to the earth. But that wasn't what was happening. So if this is what's happening, then just be with this, be with this, be with this. Because it's part of the resisting that.
So I'm more I'm trying to just
get past it.
Get past it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is.
I get it.
Get past it. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Right. And it's like in the story that I told tonight, right, of wanting to get past like, there's so much shame around that story that I told you, right? Like not wanting to get past that. You know, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person that needs to be the expert in that situation, that needs to be right, that needs to have my ego upheld. Like, there's a lot of pain in that story, and there's a lot of me that wants to get past it, right? And not even just be with the pain of it. If I can just be with the pain of it, then, you know, then there's not all the pain of trying to get past it. That feels different, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's maybe part of the perfectionism that Michelle's talking about, right? It's these really unrealistic expectations we put on ourselves to be perfect. And I think, you know, I talked about that right at the end of the talk, right? Not to judge ourselves, not to present ourselves as perfect, not to try to be perfect, not to judge too. Both sides, right?
Well, judging is hard because, I mean, we judge ourselves all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not, you know, we set standards, or we set things in our lives that we have to be like this, and it's hard to meet up with those standards sometimes. Sometimes life isn't perfect.
Right. Like even the coming to my meditation and it should be like this.
Right.
Well, no, you come to your meditation and it's like it is. If the whole meditation is spent with the sensation that's happening in the heart, then that's where it is. The whole meditation is spent with attending to restlessness because you've had insomnia all week, then that's where it is. The whole meditation is spent sneezing because your body's avoiding whatever's up, then, well, that's frustrating. I get it. That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Chaos. Which is good. It's Michelle's new version of something big's on the horizon. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Something big's coming. I'm not sleeping anymore, but now I'm going to sneeze before something.
Don't worry, I had the same thought, Melissa.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we set these ridiculous standards for ourselves. I'm called out on it all the time. Yeah.
It's a good month for ahimsa.
Oh, yeah.
Who would have thought?
I guess we're never going to be in control of all this. That's how I always feel. It's like it's just always going to be on one side or the other. And I think sooner as we recognize that, the less pain we all endure. Like, you know, it's like doing tree pose. We're always wobbling. We're never in the middle, perfectly in the middle. It's never going to happen. So we're always going to be close, perhaps, or maybe we're really wobbly. I think I've just resigned to, I guess, I deal with a lot of health issues, so that you cannot control at all. So my life is about letting go and just, it is what it is. Like every time I think I got this, I can handle it. I never behave the way I think I should. I never think, after I read a whole bunch of things, oh yeah, that's how we should think about this, you know. But then when it comes down to it, I'm like, I'm all over the map. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I knew this. And then you pull yourself back in again. And it's like, well, it is what it is. And for me personally, I just think of it like a cold, like it feels crappy, but then I know in a matter of time it'll go away again. So that's my relief, is that colds end up going away. You feel like crap, but eventually the cold goes away, and knowing that it will go away is kind of like I can settle into it. Then I can settle into the pain of it, because eventually it lifts. And and that's how, when I hear everyone talking, it seems that way. Once you settle in and go, okay, it is what it is, but you also know that not every day is going to be like this, so that keeps you going on, right? And that's just life, I guess. And we just get that lesson every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was a lot of wisdom in there, Lindsay.
It was.
I'm tired of trying to figure it out. I'm a perfectionist. I sound like a lot of you. And the more I can't do a thing about it. That's really frustrating. I can't control any of this, what's happening. So I guess I'll just ride it. I'll just be in that little boat without a paddle, and I'll float down and see where I end up.
Yeah.
Enjoy the scenery.
Yeah. Well, your ego completely freaks out about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Just have fun.
Yeah. Well, it is absolutely true. There is no figuring it out.
No. Just when you get figured out, they'll throw you something else.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And nothing is permanent too, right? Not the pain, not the joy, not the boring stuff. Nothing's permanent. It all arises and it all dissolves, right? Michelle's in autumn. We're in spring.
It just is. It is what it is. And
Yes.
The more we can try to just accept what is, that's when we can start to be happy. It's just let go of it. And I don't know. I try to do that every day. I just let go and say, this is what I got in front of me today. So what's out here? What's fun? What can I get pleasure from? How can I enjoy the people around me? If I'm not feeling good about laying down, I don't do it. My time is precious, so I try to make it pleasurable. So if my body doesn't feel like it, or my mind is really resisting, I don't go there. I go where it wants to go. I don't want to fight anything anymore. I just want to sort of go with the flow, wherever that takes me. So, sometimes you see me here and sometimes you don't. Mm-hmm. Just my way.
So we do the lying down, the meditation, the process is the practicing of the letting go. So that when we do it in our bodies, it's easier to do it in our lives.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Practice.
Mm-hmm. So when the situations arise in our life, whether they be pleasurable or painful, and we're trying to grasp at all that pleasure too, because that can cause us, you all know those pleasure seekers in life too, right? That are constantly seeking after pleasure and aren't happy unless there's that constant feed of pleasure in their life too. It's allowing experience to arise and allowing experience to dissolve as it is. It's opening to the givenness of your life without trying to manipulate it.
It's about
And
trying
I do.
Oh, sorry, Nicole.
No, go ahead.
It's about trying not to put the judgment on this experience is bad, this one's good, that one's better, that one's worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all experience. Whatever flavor it is, it's all whatever it is that's happening right now, and that's what you're with.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just ego getting involved and putting little stories and going, I want to go to that thing and I want that, or I don't want that, or That's the trouble.
That's the trouble.
Yeah.
That's good. That's not good. This should be this way. That shouldn't be that way. Yeah. That's when we start making ourselves right or wrong, the other person right or wrong. Yeah.
What was coming up for me is talking about manipulating everything around us. I'd fallen really ill again, and I feel certain that that was a lot of the reason. There was so much going on, and I was trying to keep everything under control, like it was really in my control. That it just got to be so much for me that it wore me down very, very quickly. In every aspect, from my work and business life to my personal life to my family life, everything was just like it was all my responsibility. I'm only one person. I can't take on everybody's stuff. So getting sick was almost, not that I wanted to be this sick, but that's what it took for me to say, it's time. It is time for me to say, this is your stuff. This is my stuff. And I'm going to figure out how to separate it. So particularly in this past week, and I think that's how I was able to handle my ex-husband over the weekend, was through my somatic meditation during last week. I think it helped me to sort stuff out, not just with him and my daughter, but also some stuff between me and my mother, and stuff that was deeply buried because eating disorder issues had started arising again, and that goes way back. And just all the layers that are unpilling. And then it's just kind of like, this being sick was like a welcome rest. I slept, and I was so weak that I couldn't do anything. So people had to come in and take care of my children. And I actually asked for company. I called one of my friends. I am getting down in the dumps. I need somebody to come over here just to make me smile. Come over here and be stupid with me. So it was, again, the word humbling comes to me. It's just saying, okay, I need you to remind me, if you see me slipping into eating disorder patterns, you need to call me out. Or if you see that, it's just, tell me what you see, because I get too busy and too involved that I can't see it. But the somatic meditation has just really helped me to really, ahimsa. I mean, I've got to take care of myself first, or I am going to keep repeating the same getting sick pattern and not being able to take care of anybody else. And this time was very, very different for me, because I don't feel guilty about getting so sick. It was, I didn't beat myself up about the laundry that piled up. I hated seeing it when I kind of realized how much there was of it. But I was able to just let it go. Okay, well, it's just laundry. It's okay. It's still going to be dirty tomorrow, or it's not. But nobody's going to be naked. So, Puppet Master, that's how I feel like I've been. And that's an ego thing. It's I want to be Superwoman. I want to be Wonder Woman. I want to be able to handle it all. And it's never going to happen. So just saying, okay, this is where I'm at. And everything's going to be okay. I didn't die. My children got fed. And my work still work. And people are still wanting me to teach them yoga. I mean, things aren't perfect or exactly where I think they should be. They may be here. I want things here. But a day at a time. But it took meditating during my illness to be able to say, I'm just going to breathe and let things unfold more naturally, instead of trying to strive for the perfection that I want. It's never going to be perfect enough, just the way it is. Because I'm always going to want just a little bit more. It's perfect here, but I'm always going to want it to be here or here. Yeah. Never going to reach that perfection. So that's that. I'm thankful for this practice.
Okay. I just want to see if Nikki, if you want to check in before we say good evening, good night, good day, goodbye. Just have to unmute yourself, though.
Thank you. Life has been pretty difficult in my little world the last week and a half or so. And I, of course, got sick. So I don't have much of a voice. And I really missed this part of my life, this connection that I have with all of you. So I really wanted to be here, just to be with all of you and to hear the teachings. I guess that's really all I have to say. And so thank you. It was a great pleasure and grounding experience to be here again with you all live. I really missed this time last week. It's incredibly grounding for me for the rest of the week to be here. And so I really made sure that I could come this evening. So I appreciate it very much. Thank you for this.
Thanks. I found myself missing our connection last week too. It felt like a little hole in the week. As much as it was nice to be away, it did feel like a missing link in the week. That's for sure.
Become a big part of my life. I really enjoy coming together with everyone, and I mean I practice during the week as well, but I just feel so much more grounded when I come to the class and participate, and it's a beautiful experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm thinking we might have to put some leaders out of their comfort zone when I'm away. Mm-hmm. I see Michelle going like, because you could still meet when I'm not here. I mean, I don't go away that often, guys. But we'll see. Okay, so thank you all for being here. It is wonderful to come together this way. And I will see you on the forum this week and back here again next week. Okay, namaste.
Namaste.